So as you know, I am Ross. Anything will do. It's just so awkward staring at my own face. Okay, I'm gonna close that off then. So I went to York University for a special double major in philosophy and psychology, which just means that I did a lot of reading and a lot of writing. I've written, well, for school, in York, I did close to 200 essays, almost to that point. If I include every essay that I've written now with students or that I've written as examples, I'm reaching about close to 300 by now. And I've helped well over, I don't know, it's in the hundreds of students write essays themselves. So yeah, essay writing is my thing. It's what I like to do, mostly because it was difficult to do for me when I was in high school. And I had to learn to be very good at it, as those that play video games would know the phrase "get good," and that's exactly what I did. Okay, so let's turn the floor to whoever appears first on my list, and we'll go from there. So Eileen, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. So I'm Eileen. I'm in grade 8 right now. Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite food?
Yeah, sure. There's tons actually. I like ramen noodles. I like just potatoes in general. Also stuff like some sweet stuff, I guess. Those are nice too.
Always.
Yeah.
All right. And if you had to be stuck in one fictional reality from a novel, what would it be?
That's quite interesting. In like a fictional reality from books or movies?
Only from novels.
Oh,
小
sorry.
美在这上课呢，这是我，王源在这儿还露小脸儿。
From books?
Yes, only from books.
It's quite tough. I don't know actually, but maybe somewhere peaceful, like less battles or like dangerous stuff.
Okay, that's fair.
That's nice.
Fair. Probably a children's novel of some sort then. Okay, Elisa, you're up next on my list. Same questions for you. Tell us a bit about yourself, what grade you are in, favorite foods. I love foods, that's why I love to talk about them. And what fictional reality would you want to be stuck in from novels? Only what you can read.
Okay. Well, my name is Elise. I'm in grade 6. My favorite food would be I don't know. Noodles, I guess.
Okay.
And blueberries.
Blueberries are good.
If I would have been stuck in a book, I would be in the book The Golden Compass.
Okay. All right.
Because there's some interesting characters in there, and I would like to see them in real life.
And magic. Can't forget magic. All right. Awesome. Eric, introduce yourself to us.
I am currently in grade 7. I like to study about World War II. I do not have a favorite food, and if I were to be stuck in a book, I have no clue which one. I don't really have a favorite series.
All right. So no particular fiction of any kind, or even historical fiction?
Not really.
Not really?
I mostly like nonfiction.
We gotta find you a good book series. All right, next on my list. Oh, jumping around. Well, actually, Melinda now jumped up to the top. Melinda? Or not? Okay. Jeremy, you're certainly up next.
What were the questions again?
So your grade, favorite food, and what fictional reality from a novel series or single novel would you like to be stuck in?
I'm grade 9. I don't really have a favorite food, and if I were to be stuck in a fictional novel, it'd probably be Keeper of the Lost Cities.
Who's the author of that again?
I forgot to. Wait, hold on.
Shannon Messenger. I'm currently reading it
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I'd have to refresh myself on the plot, but I know the name. Okay, no favorite food. That's always so strange when people don't have a favorite thing that they like to they enjoy eating. Nicole, I believe, or sorry, Melinda, are we a student or just observing?
Hello.
No.
No? Yeah, all right. So, Melinda, what grade are we in? What's our favorite food? And what fictional reality would you like to be stuck in from a novel or novel series?
Oh, I'm not quite ready.
Okay. I'll give you a moment then. Nicole, you would be next.
Okay. What was the question again?
So you've got, what grade are you in? What is your favorite food? And what fictional reality would you like to be stuck in from a novel or novel series?
Okay, I'm in grade 6, and my favorite food, I think, it's French fries. I think.
Okay.
And the fiction I want to be stuck in, I think, I really like the book called Host.
Okay. Still quite here. Not much would change. Probably have a nice good recipe for non-smelly shoes anymore. Melinda, was that enough time?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So,
So what grade are you in?
6.
All right. What's your favorite food?
Oh, I don't really have a favorite.
Okay, that's fair. And what fictional reality would you like to be stuck in from a novel or novel series?
Oh, from a novel.
Yes. Any come to mind?
What?
Do any come to mind?
No.
Okay. All right. And then Jason. Jason, is your mic working? Oh, I assume you can hear me, but we can't hear you, Jason. Can anyone else hear Jason? No? It's not working. Okay. And if you click on the mute button, that little arrow that you see, if you change your microphone, would that help? No. Okay, that is a shame. Why don't you try and type in chat then? What grade are you in? All right, and Jason, do you have a favorite food? Pizza's great, mine too. And what fictional series would you like to be stuck in, be it a novel or novel series? Lord of the Flies. Okay, so someone here's a little, they want pain. That sounds uncomfortable. Lord of the Flies Island. Those kids they had an adventure. Has anyone else read Lord of the Flies yet? No? Imagine the Hunger Games, but less technology. Okay, so what shall we get started with? Well, the sort of order that we're going to be going in, we're going to be looking at news articles. That's the first sort of area that I would like to go over. Then we'll also be doing some descriptive / expository writing, with writing a series of instructions. So I asked about favorite foods because that's usually the easiest thing to write about. Of course, I will ask that you try and choose something else, but you will be listing a set of instructions on how to do something. So the most popular choice, other than cooking or baking something, is to write a how-to and then build a birdhouse, or how to build a model home. It's birdhouse, model home, and then actually I think those are the most popular. I don't quite remember reading anything else other than a recipe, how to build a birdhouse, or how to make a model home. And the level of detail will, for some of you, feel excruciating because you have to detail everything. You have to imagine that your audience is dumb, that they are very uninformed about life. So if you don't tell them to do something, just like a robot, they cannot do it, and they'll end up with a different product by the end. Although some of you may find this process very easy. Yeah, so news article writing, essentially descriptive writing with instructions. Then we'll have a little bit of narrative writing. We won't focus too much on it this time round, but we will be coming back to it by the end. And then, of course, there will be essay writing. So depending on our group, we may either do a research project, in which case you will be, and this will be especially helpful for Jeremy, Jason, and Eileen. And I guess Eric as well, because he's getting close to that point. Being able to find academically acceptable resources, reading information, providing that information in an essay, and possibly even taking a point of view. We certainly will do some argumentative writing, so taking any kind of topic, providing our standpoint on this topic, and then arguing for it. Elisa and Nicole, you might find it slightly difficult to begin with. You'll be allowed to write more persuasively and won't have to worry so much about argument. But there is a difference between argument and persuasion. Even though it's a very fine difference, it's big enough to warrant two different names for the same style of writing, which is just convincing somebody to believe or hold the same viewpoints as yourself. Okay, let's see here. And that's a few things. We'll also touch on grammar here and there, depending on, like, once I get a good sense of what you write or how you write, we will focus on a few things. Usually we visit verb tenses. Those are the most frustrating for everyone, especially the fact that when I say that there are more than 3 verb tenses? How many verb tenses are there in total? And Eric, if you remember, you're not allowed to tell us yet. Anyone want to tell me how many verb tenses do we technically have? No need for hands. You can just chime in if you want to take a guess or if you already know. No,
3.
Eric, do you remember? Or Elisa, go ahead.
3.
I think it. I
There are
think it
far
was
more-
12.
Pardon me?
I think it was 12.
Yes, there are 12, past, present, future. And then we have 4 versions of each of those. You've got your simple, so past, simple past, simple present, simple future.
Progressive.
Perfect. So progressive tense, which means something is going on. There's another name for it, also continuous. So progressive and continuous are the same thing. Then perfect tense and then progressive perfect or perfect continuous. So you've got your past, present, future, and then the others. I don't have enough fingers for that. And just the fact that we have so many different tenses is so very frustrating, especially for anyone that's not a native English speaker. And even as native English speakers, we don't know what we're doing as we're doing it. Because English. Okay. What else should we point at? Okay. What are some difficult things you guys have been doing in English class as of late, or assuming you have been doing English class? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys should all, maybe Jeremy, not so much because you are in 9, but everybody else, you should all be taking English on the regular. What are some difficult things that you guys have been encountering that you would really like to work on? I want to hear from you. You can just write it in the chat or you can talk up. What are some things that have been stumping you, be it perhaps poetry, literary analysis, coming up with ideas, organization? Anyone? Do I have to go down the list? Eileen, anything that's been that you want to exercise or that's been giving you difficulties?
So like a couple weeks ago, we were doing creative writing in class. So like you kind of just make up your own story or something, and then you write it down. Personally, it's a bit hard for me to get an idea down. Like it takes some time to think about it and stuff.
All right. And when you say get an idea down, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like putting everything down all at once or having it in order?
Well, generally it's the even in like essay writing or other writing, it's kind of hard for me to like at first get the main structure down or like kind of organize them, I guess.
Okay, but do you think you have all the ideas all at the same time, or that they're all there, you're just not sure where to put them?
Well, I think it's a bit hard to come up with them, but once I came up with them, it's easier to like jot them down and to put them together, I guess.
Good to know. Elisa, how about you? Is there anything in English that you've been struggling with or that you would like to improve on?
I don't know. I can't think of any right now.
That's fine. That's fine. Eric, how about you?
None that I can think of.
Okay, that's fair. Excuse me. I can think of a few things, but they're generally expected at your grade level. Jason, how about yourself?
Creating complex sentences with like, instead of just having one clauses, like more clauses, like 2 or 3, I guess.
Okay, awesome. Good to hear. Also, glad that your mic's working. Jeremy, what about you, sir?
I kind of struggle to like make a lot of sentences because I tend to like put all the ideas in one sentence. and then like they ask for like a lot of different words, not a lot of different, like large word count, and I can't meet that quota.
Okay, we'll certainly like help you with that when we do essays. So complex sentences and meeting word count. Jeremy, just out of curiosity, what kind of essays have you done so far, or have you done any? Like, did you take English this semester?
I haven't had to write any essays yet this semester, but like
Okay.
just I know that I
think Jeremy's Wi-Fi is misbehaving. Okay. Next on my list, I think people have swapped places. Melinda, anything in school, English-wise or writing-wise?
Oh, it was good.
Pardon me?
It was good.
It was good. There's nothing that's really giving you trouble that you want to practice or improve on?
No,
Okay.
it's fine.
Expect perfection then. And then Nicole, how about you? Anything come to mind?
Maybe sometimes like teachers are telling us like direct and indirect characterizations, and sometimes kind of like confusing, but I think it's fine actually.
Okay. Indirect and direct, it's always fun to do no matter what it's about, whether it's characterization or causation. Yeah, I think those are the only terms that you'll be using now. Okay, cool. So, who can tell me what a news article is? Or actually, one step back, what is news? What is news? What is this word, news? Anybody?
Well, it's information from the media.
Information, yes. Media is sometimes a source of news, but it itself is not news. Typically, media is full of a type of news that we don't really need. So yes, there's information. And can anyone sort of elaborate on that, add to that? News, what is news? What kind of information are we getting from the news? So,
Like daily information or like information in general. Yeah.
all right, so daily or general information, and what kind or type of information are we expecting from the news?
Information that informs the reader that can be used on a daily basis, I guess.
Okay, that's kind of repeating what you just said. We're looking for information that is relevant to us. So there is this degree of relevance. There's also this degree of interest or your relationship to the news. So in general, as I believe it was Jason that had just mentioned, we usually want to know what's going around in our town. We want to know what's going around in the city and usually around the world, depending on how much these events affect us. If there was a stampede of cows somewhere in Nebraska, do we really need to know about this? No, not really. Did that stampede of cows end up cutting off power for the entire United States? Maybe that would be important to know, especially from up here in Canada. But if we aren't affected by an event like this, it won't really matter. If there was a stampede of cows outside of your front house, outside of the front of your house, that might be something you might want to know about. You might want to look at your news outlets, so newspaper, which is kind of almost outdated by now, but better than online still, or your local news outlets of some sort, and they can tell you all about why there was a stampede of cows that ran through your neighborhood. That would be relevant and interesting. But let's say it's not something that really affects your life in general, or too specifically, or too significantly, I mean, you may have some other kind of interest. So when the latest movies are coming out, or when new computer parts will be available, or if school is going to be in person or online, if it's going to be a snow day. Do we have snow days anymore? But you have some kind of interest or investment in this outlet of information. Media, especially social media, it distracts us with news that we don't need, nor should we ever really care about. I don't care who is dating who, or what celebrity said this about these people. It doesn't matter. I want to watch a movie. I want to play a video game. I don't care about anything beyond that point. But social media is famous for that. But news is important. There is a particular order that we have to go in. So something that you guys will be practicing, and let me get this. Awesome. Something we'll be practicing is, so you get something like this. I will give you, and this will be especially important for you, Jeremy, because you have the OSSLT next year, and hopefully you'll have some preparation with me. I've never had a student fail the OSSLT, so I've got to, depending on if I get Albert's mark back soon, I've almost reached my 100th student that I've helped pass. So 0% fail rate for the OSSLT in my end. I'm quite happy with that. You'll be given something like this. It says your task. What on earth are you supposed to do? Well, when we write, we first have to consider who are we writing for. What's this called? When we consider the people we are writing for, what's the term that I'm looking for here? Can anyone tell me?
The audience.
Thank you. We always want to know who is going to be reading our writing. Now, typically, as students, you have to consider two sets of audience, one being your teacher, and the second being who you're actually writing for. So always consider who is going to do the marking of this assignment, and then consider what age group or what demographic or set of interests am I writing this or directing this to. It's like if I wanted to tell you about the gravitational pull of the planets and the moon, some of you may have zero interest in physics or astronomy or science in general. An article that would write about this should make it very interesting for those people. But if I am trying to only address those that would be very interested in astrophysics, then I would be writing an entirely different way that would bore everybody else. So audience, always important. And then of course you've got a purpose. So as you can see on this sort of example, audience and purpose, usually in news, you're trying to report something. That's what a news report is. So you, the reporter, you kind of put yourself, you play pretend or become an actor. You become someone that went to a particular event, gathered information, and now you're reporting the information that you gathered firsthand. Why is it important to gather information firsthand? And anyone that's in grade 8 and 9, maybe 7, why is it important for you to have primary or secondary, well, mostly primary information? Why is this important for writing? Or for writing news? Reliability, perfect. Anybody else? I would say there's only one more that I really need to hear. So we've got reliability, and one more. And credibility. Can we believe you? So how often are you right? And how credible are you? How do we know that you know what you are telling us that you actually know? So my favorite thing to talk about is how some health food drinks will be doctor recommended, but the people that have the doctorates that are recommending these health food drinks don't have doctorates in medicine or in actual food nutrition or biology. Usually their doctorates are in things like English, or maybe they have a doctorate. What was one dude? He had a doctorate in, I think it was like dentistry, but I'm not going to listen to a dentist about something that's supposed to be good for my health. I'll listen to a dentist about something that's good for my teeth, but I wouldn't listen to a dentist about anything else other than just teeth or oral health. The same thing with a doctor, medical doctor versus a nutritionist. If I want to get healthy, I'll listen to the doctor for a bit, but the nutritionist will know more about food and nutrition than the doctor will. The doctor will know how to help with a cold, but the nutritionist can basically help you figure out how to never catch one again. Okay, so credibility, reliability, how often is this information correct? So when we listen to the weather, when you listen to the news and you listen to the weather, how reliable is the weather? Enough to the point that anybody that watches the news and looks for the weather, they go, okay, here's a general idea of what there might be. If it says it's going to rain, maybe I'll take an umbrella, but I don't really think there will be rain. Meteorologists, they may be credible because it's their job to predict weather, but they aren't very reliable because the science itself isn't reliable. Okay, so when you consider who you're writing for, what you are writing for, so typically you are writing to inform people, as we had mentioned, then you take the task a little further. You take a look at two things here. So we see a title, really important. I've got another tool for this. There you go. You got your title, and then you'll end up with a picture of some sort. The goal that you guys will face is to link the picture and the title together and end up writing a news article. So let me pull up this next. Things that you need in your news article. So we'll start with this one. And we'll go to the other one. So when we get into news article writing itself, we want to sort of think of writing a story like this. And this is really good for those that have issues with structure or form. It's always good to know the general skeleton, general idea of what something should look like. So if you're writing a basic paragraph, we know that you need some kind of introductory sentence, you need detail or supporting sentences, and then you need some kind of sentence at the end, which we call your concluding sentence, that lets your reader know that you are done talking about that particular subject. When we read a series of paragraphs, typically in the form of an essay or a news article or any kind of reading, really, we know that each paragraph will be connected by some kind of idea. In stories, usually the connecting idea is that we are following a character throughout their journey. And in chapters, we know, okay, this is what this chapter is going to focus on, and then the events in the next one will be further away and about something completely different. So structure, always important to memorize or learn the different types of structures when you write an argumentative essay. There is a very simple format that I'll give you, especially useful for Jeremy and for everyone else in 8, that I can give you a introductory paragraph, the number of sentences that you will need to meet all of your requirements, and then your body paragraphs, which would be 11 sentences per paragraph, 3 paragraphs, 33 sentences, plus your beginning, plus your end, and you've got an entire 4-page essay, all with just knowing where to put stuff. It's like putting a puzzle together. When we do newspaper article writing, we have your first paragraph, which should be the shortest, most succinct, and easiest to understand paragraph. And nowadays, news doesn't do this. If you Google anything and look for a news article, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to find an article that starts off this way. You start off with what's known as your lead, or a lead paragraph. You end up writing, I would say, 3 summaries when you write a newspaper article. You have a title. That should be the catch your eye sort of thing, but we don't need to be tricked into reading the article. We want to be interested in it. So if let's take the stampede, or actually school and COVID. If schools are going back to online, you don't want to see a title that says internet prices are soaring. Okay, well, I'm not going to read that because that's not what I want to see. I want to see something to do with school and something to do with the internet. I mean, online or in-person classes. If the article says students may not be going to school, again, why would you do that? Your title should be pretty clear. That's almost a summary of the entire idea of your article. So that would be summary 1. Summary 2, we get in your lead paragraph. Your first sentence should elaborate a little bit more than what your title is about. So let's say, for example, school is going back to online. So your first sentence in your lead paragraph, we want to know the who. So who is being affected? This would be students in whatever particular region. What is going on? So the cancellation or the transition back into online classes, where this is being affected. So that's also part of the who in this case, because we're talking about students and the region that they're in, and when will this happen? So perhaps even in January. That first sentence acts as your second summary of everything to follow in the article. And then the third one happens as a whole for the lead paragraph. What do I need to know if I want to just simply read a short version of this article? Or let's say I didn't have the time to read everything and I wanted to be fully informed. Everything should be found in your lead paragraph. So if I wanted to know who is affected by this online classes only thing, when is it happening, and where or what are the boundaries or any of that sort of stuff, like anything important for me to know should be in the very first paragraph. And it should be very short, sweet, and simple. After that point, you get to expand on everything. This is for people that have the time to continue to read your news article. They would go into background information. So now we could learn more about going online, any fine details that we might need to know, if there are certain schools that aren't being affected. Are there any authorities in the matter that we can speak to? So people on school boards or administrators or deans. Do grade schools have deans anymore? That was never a thing, right? No, grade schools don't have deans. But there would be somebody important, like principals even, or superintendents. Do we have superintendents for schools? And yeah, we do. Okay. I thought that was just an American thing for a moment there. But that's where you start interviewing people are involved. Let's go back to the stampede of cows example. If you witness this stampede of cows, you could be someone that would be interviewed by the journalist that's trying to find something out. Perhaps the farmer that lost his cows, or perhaps the people that were affected by this stampede of cows. And then once we've provided any useful information, that's where we can get into the next paragraph, where you could even combine the two if you really want, and provide anything else that may be relevant that wasn't so important to know to begin with, and then perhaps any future direction. So with the online schooling thing, perhaps After explaining what schools are affected, what class schedules may look like, who's going to be online, who's going to be in person, if there will be in person, what are the guidelines, rules, any interview or people that we spoke to, then perhaps we could get to things like, here is how to make your computer function better, or this is where you can look for resources to make it more manageable, or. That's where you would get your extra details. So you start rather big. What is the whole picture? Narrow it down, provide us more fine details, and then anything else to finish making your point. News article writing. Okay, quite a lot. Let's see how we're doing here. So as Eric will probably tell you, there are some classes where I will probably talk until I am blue in the face, because I do talk a lot. You're always free to interrupt me. I'm not the biggest fan of having to raise your hand. So you are, I find it perfectly acceptable for you to just chime in and speak if you ever want to. If not, do raise your hand and I will hopefully see it on the side panel there, or somebody will point out. Right, is there anything else that I wanted to point out? Nope, so news articles, that would be one thing that we're going for. We have, after I did that, then I would want to do the instructions to write. So right now I had a student that was writing instructions on how to build a birdhouse. They wrote 6 steps. And so far we've turned those 6 steps into 20 steps. And we still have, I think, about 40 more to go. They chose a really complicated process. Don't quite know why, but they did. So that would be something that we will be doing. I always say, like, birdhouses are the easiest difficult thing to write about, only because there's a lot of working parts. But there are many other things. You can write about how to build a Lego building of some kind. That sounded more adult in my head, but now I just sound like a 2-year-old. But Lego is fine. For those that are tech savvy, perhaps how to set up something techy. I'm not a very big tech guy. I upgraded my graphics card and I ruined my computer, so I had someone else fix it for me. And if you really are struggling, then you can always do how to bake or how to cook something, but we'll get more into that. Then when we do writing, hopefully we have everyone completing their work on time, because I like having you guys pair off and cover opposite sides. And we'll probably throw in an extra style of paragraph. If any of you have ever heard the term rebuttal, or I guess technically it would be a counter argument to a counter argument. That's another sort of way to understand it. So we'll be doing your 5-paragraph model essay, but we'll be adding in a 6th. And hopefully I'll be able to help a few of you guys figure out or grasp onto the idea that paragraphs don't have to be limited to this many. I mean, essays don't have to be limited to this many paragraphs. Because if we aren't doing research, we're doing argument, which still requires research. And we'll see how we do with providing you guys with some education on how to do MLA or APA. I think we'll stick with MLA because you guys won't make the transition till about grade 10 or 11, unless you're lucky and your school's already up to date. Then you'll be using APA, which is just a form of citation. Does anyone know what I mean when I say APA or MLA or citation? Is that going over anybody's head? I hadn't heard of it until I was in 8th grade. So it's perfectly fine if you haven't. It's basically our way of saying these ideas are not actually my own. I am just using someone else's ideas to help me prove my point. So that's what citation is. We'll be doing a little bit of narrative writing, which we'll start, then we'll put it on the back burner and save it for the end. Some literary analysis, because that's always important to do, but we'll probably be doing it on nonfiction. Is there anything else? That's not this class. Okay. Other than that, oh, right. So at the moment, the way we do our online classes, you'll have your Zoom link, which we'll all join in. But I'm trying to get it so that way you'll have your own private documents where you do your own homework and your own work. So that way everyone doesn't have to sit on the same singular document. That's the way I've always done it. But now this new way, which is inefficient, hopefully we don't have to do that anymore. Any questions, comments, or concerns for me? I'm happy to answer. No. Does anyone do any reading on their own for fun? Hopefully they don't have to be forced to do it. I recommend that everybody finds a good book. If you can't find the right book, ask me. I have hundreds of books to suggest, ranging. I do have a very large amount of fiction, but I also have a large amount of nonfiction that I can recommend. If it's a book that you need to do